Well, I hope you've been enjoying the holiday season and that you've been enjoying your celebration, be it Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or the New Year, or perhaps the winter solstice, whatever you're celebrating. I hope that many blessings to you and your family. Hopefully, you're gathering in the way you want to gather, maybe with family or friends. Maybe it's a smaller celebration, whatever works for you. Many blessings to you at this time of year. And the thing I want to work with today, I want to start out with a story. It's another level of inquiry and just kind of thinking about ourselves at this time of year. This time of introspection is what I like to call it. So I'll start with a story. Okay, sometimes stories are the best way to introduce some new ideas. So this is maybe 20, 30 years ago even. Not that I'm old or anything, but this is, say, about 30 years ago, okay? And at the time, there were a group of us that were studying with my teacher and with our teacher, I guess I could say. And we would get together at the various, spring equinox, summer solstice, fall equinox. We'd get together and do ceremony, and we'd work on ourselves, and we would call in, new parts of ourselves and awaken things. And so this was our practice, and it was one year it was we were doing this at summer solstice, and so at the beginning of gatherings, and still do this to this day, I'm going to be doing it this spring and this fall in 23. The first thing we often do is a sharing circle. It's like we're sitting around the fire, we're doing a sharing circle, and typically, where we start is like, what's in your heart, or like, what have you been experiencing, or like, what are you hoping to work with during ceremony these coming days. It would be some type of thing to kind of get us into our hearts and that type of thing. And this year, our teacher, just looked at us and said, this year I want to know something different. And he just said, what do you bring to ceremony this year? And we were it certainly was an approach that we weren't used to. And to me, it very much we were taken back. I know I was, and I could look around the circle, and people are just like, what? And I think it touched on a couple of different things. First of all, we were in the role of kind of going to these gatherings to receive, and we would go there, and we wanted to seek our vision and get insight and get connection with spirit, and get our lives aligned. And these are all good things, there are, but I think maybe he was showing us that this was a little unbalanced, that we were there just to like feed me and receive. And he's like, what do you bring? And so it was just, and what he was suggesting, at least my truth with it now is, and what I've learned in doing now that I'm the facilitator of the ceremonies and the sharing circles and the sessions, what I'm realizing is, it's the energy that my client brings and that I bring, or that the sharing circle brings, or, whatever else is like, that's when the magic happens, is when we're all bringing our energy and we're all bringing our sincere, spiritual and emotional energy, and our heart's open. It's just like, here, this is my energy. This is my gift. And it can be different. And it doesn't have to just be, your spiritual gift. It can be whatever's in your heart. I think the key to it, of course, is something, it's a sincere and honest offering. So, that year, perhaps someone brought sadness, and someone brought grief, and someone else brought joy and celebration. Someone else maybe just got married or just had a child, and they're celebrating in new life, and someone else is grieving someone that's passed away, and they bring that gift, that emotional energy, that spiritual gift. Or they, someone's someone's depressed, or someone is having a rough time in a relationship, or someone is actually got a new job, and someone's just received a vision, and someone's just, just had this awakening. And so there's all different types of energies that we bring. And then when each of us that year, like well, it took a while, but then we got to the point where we were able to offer what was in our hearts. The ceremony just kind of dropped down to a new level because it was vital. And we weren't there like, feed me, and part of that process, as I remember it, I vaguely remember it, and part of it is what I'm sensing about it now, is that I remember that I didn't really feel like I had something of value to give, and because I was sitting with, this enlightened teacher, right? And then we were calling in spirits and magic, and it's like, it's almost like, communing with God, if you will. It's like we were doing this high level spiritual work. And so it didn't consider that my offering would be of value to this ceremony, and it was like, what I learned and what I've been learning ever since, I guess, is that it totally matters. And that spiritual energy that each of us offers, maybe it's offering, maybe you just offered it, during your Christmas gathering, or you offer it at a party, or when you're having coffee with a friend, or you're at work, or you're with your kids, or you're with your parents and your friends, or you're with your community. It really fits well with community, because that's what this was when we were gathering. We were gathering as a community. And so when we bring our sincere gift and our sincere offering, it brings juice and vitality. And in a sense, it gives spirit something to work with. It gives the enlightened teacher something to work with, because it's like, he doesn't have to sit there and provide, the energy's in the room, and then it can be directed, and there's resources and there's vitality there. And that's when the magic happens, is when there's that there's more than one person that's bringing some juice and bringing some prana and some life energy and some heart energy, and so it was a big lesson. It was like, for me, and it continues to be, I'm talking about it 30 years later, it obviously meant something to me and continues to, but that's kind of what I wanted you to maybe inquire, is like, what do you bring? I mean, you can think about it like, what do I bring in general, which is more like what your purpose and your gifts are. That's a great inquiry. But also, like, even moment to moment, day to day, like some days, maybe I'm kind of a little sad and I bring sadness, and other days I bring joy, and some days I bring energy, and some days I bring clarity, and some days I bring confusion, but it's like offering my meager gift, my humble gift, is like, this is what's in my heart. This is me right now. And I'm offering me and what's in my heart, and trusting that the community that I'm offering that to will benefit from that gift. So anyway, an inquiry perhaps. I know it is for me this time of year. So that's my video for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week between, going in your holidays, finish out in a really wonderful way. And as you walk through your week and beyond, maybe consider, like, what am I bringing now? Like right now, I'm with my family, or I'm with my community, I'm with my people. What's in my heart, and what can I offer? It's not contrived, it's not forced, it's not cheery unless it is cheery. It's like, what do I bring? So anyway, I will see you in a week.